Hello, welcome back. Welcome to this week's live training. Thank you for watching wherever you're watching from, whether you are watching on Instagram, whether you are watching in the Clinical Connections Mentoring Facebook group, or maybe you're watching on YouTube. Thank you for being here. Thanks for coming to hear what I have to say. Today, I'm going to be breaking down self care and work life balance. So if I asked 10 people to explain what those terms mean to them, I'd probably get 10 different answers because it is different for everybody. But if I asked 10 rehab professionals to define self care and work life balance, I'd probably get some similar answers. And I think this is because everyone has a certain idea of how to define those terms, but what self care and work life balance means to each person is different. And to be honest, I don't think rehab professionals truly understand what self-care and work-life balance are. At least not in a way that's going to be helpful for rehab professionals. So today that's what I'm going to try to bring some clarity to what self-care actually is and what work-life balance is and how you can utilize both of those in your rehab career. Okay. Anybody new here? I am Dr. Jody Miller. I'm a physical therapist and a mentor to PT students and new grads. I've worked in just about every setting that you can think of for PTs, everything from pediatrics to geriatrics, outpatient, acute care, skilled nursing. I've been a rehab director. I have been an adjunct professor. And now I own my own cash based practice where I work mostly with gymnasts. And I am also the owner of Clinical Connections Mentoring, which is where you are now. So what I'd like you to do if you're watching live, please type live in the comments. Tell me who you are, where you're watching from. I just like to know who I'm talking to. Same thing if you're watching the replay. Just type replay. Tell me who you are, where you're watching from. And let's get started. So let's start with self-care. So a lot of people would define self-care as activities that promote physical, emotional, and mental health. So things like reading a book, getting a massage, relaxing in a bathtub, meditating, taking a nap, going for a walk, maybe going for a workout at the gym. And all of this is true, but these forms of self care do not apply to every person. Right. So just because people tell you to go take a nap or go for a walk or go get a massage for your self care, it doesn't mean that's what's going to be best for you. Right. Self care for you needs to be things or activities that are meaningful and helpful for you specifically. So it needs to be things that make you happy or allow you to relax or momentarily escape from your stressors. So according to the International Self-Care Foundation, there are actually seven pillars of self-care: mental, emotional, physical, environmental, spiritual, recreational, and social. Okay. It's important to allow yourself to fulfill your self care needs in more than one of these pillars. Okay. It should be in multiple pillars. It's also helpful to understand that your self care needs may shift and change over time or based on the chapter of life that you are in. So there may be times where you focus your self-care on physical needs like exercise or movement, so going to the gym, going for a walk. Then there may be times where you focus your self-care on social needs like spending time with your friends and your family. And then there may also be times where you focus your self-care on mental needs like journaling, meditating, scheduling visits with a counselor or mental health provider, okay? As your stressors change and evolve, so are your self-care needs. They will also change and evolve, okay? Regardless of the self-care outlet, it needs to be something that you truly enjoy, not just something that somebody told you to go do. So, all of this to say that going to get a pedicure once a month, it may not be enough for your self-care for your needs in this moment. Okay? It may work 2 months from now, but if getting a pedicure right now feels like work to you and you don't want to spend that money, then maybe going for a walk is what your self-care needs to be right now. Okay. The other thing that I want to mention about self care is that it's not the answer to preventing or managing burnout. This is one of the biggest misconceptions about burnout and self care. Going to get a massage or going to happy hour with your friends or spending an hour meditating on the weekend or even taking a vacation is not going to prevent burnout or cure burnout if you're experiencing it. This is because there's so much more to burnout than feeling overworked. Okay, so yes, taking a moment for yourself or scheduling a getaway will feel nice, but it's only a band aid for the burnout that you're experiencing. Okay, because the problems you are escaping from will be there when you return. So, companies that encourage employees to go for a walk on your lunch break or just eat healthier breakfast or get those 8 hours of sleep, that's going to help you manage your burnout. That is not helpful information at all, and it's not going to help. Okay. Now, I do want you to do these things. I want you to fulfill your self care needs in all 7 pillars, but I also want you to understand that these things aren't going to make the burnout go away. Okay. There's so much more work needed on your part to manage burnout or to recover from burnout. Okay. And that's a discussion for another day. That's a whole nother video. I got plenty of those videos on your whatever social media you're watching this on. Okay, I've got those videos elsewhere. Okay, but please know, do the self-care things. You have to do them. You have to fill your cup, but also understand it's not going to fix the burnout. There's more that has to happen, more work on your part to fix your burnout. Okay, now let's shift over to work-life balance. So this is definitely different for every single person. Okay, work-life balance does not mean a 50-50 split. And I think that's where a lot of people get it wrong, especially people in the rehab world. Somewhere along the way, people started to assume that a good work life balance was 50% of their time at work and 50% of their time living life. And I think this comes from the idea of a scale where there's 50% on each side. So that makes this balanced, right? 50% on each side is equal. But it's not really accurate when it comes to work and life. Okay. Um, For one reason, there's 24 hours in a day. So you're not going to have 12 hours at home and 12 hours at work, right? So it's not a 50, that's not a 50-50 split. Um, it might be for some people, right? Some people might spend 12 hours at work, but it's not applicable to a majority of people because everybody is different. Everyone has different needs, desires, likes, and values. Okay. So some people might experience like a 75-25 split or a 60-40 split and be completely happy with this. Some people may feel truly fulfilled by working 50 hours a week. Some people like that. Some people prefer to work 20 hours a week, care for the family the rest of their time. Some people prefer to start their workday at 5 a.m. and end at 7 p.m. Some people just get their best work done from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. My point is that balance is going to be different for every person. Okay. The key to finding your balance is finding what you like. If you like it, you're going to feel balanced. If you don't like it, that's when we start to feel that shift and the balance feels off. Okay. So for people who like to work 50 hours a week, that might look like working from home for 10 hours, 10-hour days, getting in a workout for an hour in their garage gym, sleeping a good solid 8 hours, and spending the remaining 5 hours of their family, right? They're still working 50 hours, they're working 10-hour days, but for them, that's what makes them happy. For others, that might look like getting 10 hours of sleep, working from 10 to 2 while the kids are at school, then spending the remaining time caring for their family, doing things like homework, cooking, shopping, playing with their kids. The idea here is that what one person considers balanced is not going to be the same for everybody else. So we have to find the balance that works for you, the balance that makes you mostly happy. And I think that's where the rehab world has got it wrong. Everybody thinks balance is has to be 50-50 and it has to be the same for everybody, but it's not. It's not going to be the same. You're only going to feel balanced when you are happy. And that might look like 60-50, 60% of the time at work and 40% at home. But if that's what makes you happy, that is what will feel balanced for you. Okay. If you try to have the same balance that your coworkers have, or your classmates have, or your friends have, you are not going to feel balanced because it's going to feel like fitting a square peg into a round hole. Someone else's balanced schedule is not necessarily going to work for you because you're different, right? And this is what leads to things, those feelings of overwhelm and burnout, okay? Because you're trying to fit into this predetermined balance that somebody made up and it does not work for you. Okay. So you have to figure out the balance that's best for you in this moment because your balance can shift as your life shifts. As your life shifts, your values, your priorities might shift. And this will mean that your balance also needs to shift. And all of this is okay. Because if it doesn't shift with life changes, then the balance is going to feel off, which is going to lead to stress, overwhelm, frustration, and burnout for you. Just because balance looked one way 10 years ago doesn't mean that you did something wrong or something bad when you desire a different balance, right? So if you've had a certain maybe you've had a 60-40 balance for 10 years, right? But now you've got a kid and you're married and you have other things that are more important to you than work. It's okay for your balance to shift, okay? It just means that something has changed and it's okay and it happens to a lot of people going through this thing called life. Okay? So to wrap all of that up into 4 sentences, self-care can address multiple pillars that can change from time to time, but need always be things that bring you joy. Self-care is not a cure for burnout. Work-life balance is not an even 50-50 split that's going to work for everybody. You have to find the balance that works for you in each period of your life. Okay. I hope you learned something new today. Please go ahead and drop your comments, your aha moment, or something that really stood out for you. Go ahead and drop that in the comments. Thank you for watching. Whether you're watching on Instagram, whether you're watching on Facebook, or you're watching on YouTube. As always, if you have any questions about anything that I talked about today, please feel free to message me or just leave your question in the comments. I'll definitely come back and answer. I'll see you next time.